Google released Android 16 and it wasn't really what people were hoping so much after the Google I/O, where they showed the expressive tree material design, which will eventually arrive later this year, hopefully in September, when they launch the current, hopefully next to be Pixel 10 series. In the meantime, guys, I do have here my Pixel 9 Pro XL, and I also installed Android 16 QPR Beta 2 because the QPR1 Beta 2 is more rich on features that sadly didn't make it yet to the stable Android 16. So in this video, I'm gonna show you all the new things about Android 16, and of course, because I have the latest QPR1 Beta 2, I'm gonna show you some of the new things, like finally, Pixel desktop mode. I want to call it Pixel Dex, but it's not Pixel Dex. But hey, Google worked with Samsung to kind of leverage One UI Dex, which is kind of an industry standard with connecting phones to bigger screens and just using your mobile device as a real compute device. And guys, if you have liked this video, you might as well want to check my other videos on One UI 8 beta builds. Also, I'm right now daily driving the Vivo X200 Ultra. You can see this body here. I mean, this cannot be mistaken. It is the hugest bump in a phone. You can see I can hold my phone just by the camera bump. Yep. And guys, I want to compare it with the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and the Apple iPhone 16 Pro Max. So expect very soon a camera review because Vivo X200 Ultra is all about camera. But right now, guys, let's go back on this very nice and little sweet device. And before I start the video, I want to share something. Yeah, it's not going to be a rant, but guys, it's very hard for me to use the Vivo like this. I cannot put my finger here, I have to put it here or here. And I was really happy to return to a form factor where I can finally rest my finger like this on the back. But okay, enough off topics, guys. Now let's deep dive into Android 16 and what is just a very tiny portion of the new Express tree material design. Yeah, there's some nice things. All right, let's start. All right, it's time to start the video. I'm going to split this video in two main parts. In the first part, I'm going to focus on Android 16 and all the new features. And I have to warn you, hold your horses. The full expressive tree material design will debut with the Pixel 10, hopefully later this year, but there are still some new things. And the second portion of the video is going to be about the QPR1 Beta 2, which has still more things than the stable Android 16, like the new Pixel desktop environment and some other nitty-gritty things. So, without any ado, let's start. This is my Pixel 9 Pro XL. The Android version, guys, is 6. And by the way, because I'm using the QPR1 Beta 2, the Android security update here is from the 5th of May. So if you have a Pixel phone and you install the stable Android, it will have a security patch from June. So if you want to go to QPR1 Beta 2 over the air, it's not going to work. But you can use the very simple Pixel Google tool directly online, and then you can just flash a factory image from QPR1 Beta 2, provided that you unlock your bootloader or unlock, and also of course enable USB debugging from the developer's option. When I go back on my home screen, this is the very familiar home screen from the Pixel devices with the Pixel UI. When I swipe right, I'm gonna get access to these redesigned toggles. And a lot of these, guys, is gonna be in Android 16. Some of this is going to be influenced by the latest QPR1 Beta 2, where in the first part you just see the new things from Android 16, and in the second part I just show you like the nitty-gritty details that they have updated from the latest QPR1 Beta 2. And of course, I also want to give you like a general outlook so that you know kind of what to expect with Android 16. Because guys, this now looks different compared to how it looked before. Let's start with the quick settings. Now I'm able to edit them, and there are some nitty-gritty things around. So I can now shrink the quick tiles if I want. I can move them around, right? And this is kind of nice because you can just decide what you want to get on your screen. So I can add a data saver and I can make these bigger, all right? Or I can make these smaller. And in general, I kind of like this approach because for certain things, you might as well just rearrange them the way you like it. Also, something to be observed here, we have a brand new slider for the brightness now with this indication. Just see what happens when I try to perform a slide on the right or slide on the left, this is going to be actually very nice. It's very nice and somehow satisfying, and it also somehow looks exactly like the One UI 8 on One UI 7 functionality, not design-wise but functionality-wise, where you just hold the brightness bar and then you directly get the home screen exposed so that you can see what happens. In the meantime, we can all enjoy this very beautiful animation. You can see the moment I just hold my finger and start swiping, boom, the whole wallpaper on the background is gonna get zoomed in and out, I think in a very, very nice and satisfying way. And one of the main new things, guys, inside Android 16 are the so-called live updates. And sadly, they're not yet live, but there is a way for me to kind of at least show you the sneak preview. And for that, I need to go and show you the Android version and invoke the Easter egg, which we all know is a mini game. The question is why and how? Why? Well, because live updates are supported on the mini game, and how is now what I'm going to show you on the screen. So I'm going to enter now my settings. I went inside About Phone and I clicked on the Android version. So how do we get the standard classical Android Easter egg? We just need to type several times here. And this is it, guys. It is Android 16, we can clearly see. But now, how do we start the mini game? And remember, we need the mini game to be able to somehow see at least a sneak preview of the new upcoming live notifications. Because remember, guys, this is not going to only appear here. It's hopefully also going to appear in the Now bar from Samsung phones and hopefully all the other phones, which we know are very heavily influenced from what Google and Samsung are doing. And yes, we have to say it, also Apple and iOS. So we start the mini game by just holding here the logo, and by the way, now the whole phone is gonna start vibrating, guys, and boom, now we start the mini game. All right, I know that a lot of people are playing this mini game out there. Honestly, it's not my thing. And one of the new things inside Android 16 is the fact that you can now just use the auto mode. And why is this important, guys? I'm gonna let you know, because the moment I press the auto mode and I minimize the mini game, I will now have access to the new live updates. And this is, by the way, how it's gonna look like. So right now I'm heading to Leo-NUR1 and the autopilot is chasing. And you can now see, guys, we have this progress bar, this indication bar. But picture this, you know, you're calling your Uber driver, you reserve it via the app, and you're gonna see where exactly your Uber driver is. Or let's say you want to get some pizza from Domino's, or whatever your thing is, right? Like whatever your thing is there, hopefully it's going to support this live activity, and you're gonna get it here, and it looks kind of nice. So I can just go once more inside the mini game, go outside, and then I can see, right? And not only am I approaching, but I can also see like an ETA, 4 seconds, all right? I can go back inside the game, and I think now I've approached. Is this gonna be reflected into the live update? I hope so, right? We have to just cross that part here, and then boom, we know this thing is happening. A very good question is, what from this will work on the lock screen? Because the idea from this live updates is also to appear somewhere here. We, by the way, know that the Now bar from Samsung appears on the lock screen, and also, guys, add the always on display, which is kind of cool. I'm using my Pixel 9 Pro XL with a Spigen protector, guys, and this is why it doesn't really recognize my fingerprint all the time, but I don't want to remove it. I bought it with the screen protector by Spigen installed by the guy that has been using this before me, and now you can see, guys, right? I'm still approaching, and this is how these new live updates will look like. And apparently this is together with the new redesign expressive tree material design, part of the new Android 16. Now, as I told you, guys, I'm gonna split the video into 2 parts. We're still in part number 1, where I just want to show some standard new Android 16 things. And yes, there are not so many, but there are some. So, what happens when you take your Pixel in the hand and you double press, guys, the power button? All right, usually you're gonna start the camera. Hi there, guys. By the way, I'm using my Samsung S25 Ultra to record a video. People were annoyed and they just wanted to get more options. So Google listened, and in fact they changed this setting. Sadly, they only allow one more option, but I want to show you how this exactly performs. So when I go inside my settings and I go inside system, I can now click on gesture, and now you're going to see that there is something called double press power button. When I go inside now, for the first time, you know, in Android, again, this is Android 16, just imagine, Google and Pixel will allow you to use something else. And this something else is, yeah, it's your wallet, right? And yes, we know there is another fruity brand that allows you to do so. But right now, by double pressing the power button, guys, I'm going to be able to start Google Wallet. So I'm going to demonstrate. Okay, Google Wallet starts. I tested this before, and guys, something that I like, let me show you. This is really attention to details. When I go on my lock screen, I have two main shortcuts. Here I have Google Home, and here, guys, I have my camera, right? But the moment you go inside the gesture and you set up the wallet, you'll get, a notification. Change the lock screen layout. Camera is also your lock screen shortcut. Tap to change it. And I think this is cool because this is an integration from the gesture settings to your lock screen. So let's say right now I want to change my camera right shortcut on the lock screen. I can tap here, and here from my lock screen customization, I can click on shortcuts. And yeah, I have left shortcut. So right now it's home, but I can change it, let's say, to camera. And then I have right shortcut, which I can change from camera to, let's say, the wallet, which is going to be here. And then I press apply. And I just like the way they integrated the setting from here directly to the lock screen, because it really shows that they're putting some thoughts in this. What is though frustrating is to just see only one more option here, just the wallet one. And in the future, I would expect to either like have a custom shortcut, right? Or just at least support more stock apps, if that's the thing. But again, I promised that there's going to be some interesting things throughout this video. So stay tuned, as I'm now going to show you something new from Android 16, guys. This would be the battery. Now, when you go inside the battery, all right, disregard this new bar, because this new bar is heavily influenced from the new expressive tree material design. And I'm not sure if this will exist exactly in that way in Android 16, because again, I'm using QPR1 Beta 2. But now there is something called battery health, which in my case, using the QPR1 Beta 2, it's unsupported. But when you click this thing here, you're gonna get a very nice score, hopefully, if your battery is all intact. And besides this, you're gonna get also some battery health tips. When you click on this, you're just gonna get redirected to some web pages where you can check how to update the software, or let's say turn on adaptive charging, because now I can click on charging optimization. And finally, guys, we have options here. I can either use adaptive charging, finishes charging to 100% right before you normally unplug, which is good, right? Or let's say limit to 80%, which is a bit more conservative. When I click on the menu here or here, we have this very nice animation starting from the center of the bar and unveiling to the left and right side. And I kind of like the way it looks also with this animation here from the battery icon. And if you don't like it at all, you can just, boom, disable it. And yeah, you will not use charging optimization. Now let me show you more of the Android 16 goodies. I'm gonna open YouTube, all right. Now what I can do with Android 16 is, the moment I go inside the recents menu, guys, I'm going to get a bar here with the name of the application. Now pay attention. If you are using the stock or stable Android 16, it's going to be the old boring way where the name of the application is going to be described on the top. This thing here comes from QPR Beta 2, and I really love it because it's just different. But hey, this is not why we're here. What is actually new from Android 16 is what happens when you click on it. On Android 16, you would click here on the icon. In QPR1 Beta 2, we have this new separate bar that is layered on top of the application, and it looks, by the way, very immersive. What is the new thing here? When I click, I'm gonna get finally more options. One of the main options here is that we have clear, which is actually equal to like force stop. So when I press clear, this is going to kind of like force stop close my application, all right? Something that was missing before, right? You had to just like swipe. Besides this, of course, we have more options. So we have the option to take a screenshot and take a look at this very beautiful animation, guys. I'm gonna do this one more time. Boom, screenshot, everything so smooth. I really like it. Then we have the option to also select something. So now I can just decide to select some text, if any. And from here, of course, I can copy, search, and do whatever I want with this. All right, this is also a nice addition. And there is also the option for split screen. Now, let me show you how this works, because it's probably not what you think. On One UI 8, for example, when I invoke the split screen, I can just get access to my launcher and start any other app. Here, okay, I start split screen. By the way, the animation is kind of cool. I like it. I'm gonna do this one more time. Clicking here, boom, split screen. But then Android 16 will only allow you to choose an application that is already running. So let's say in this case, I want to open my hardware device info, and yeah, now I'm gonna get YouTube here, and I'm gonna have my hardware device info. You have some options here, right? So you can pretty much resize it, I guess, up to like this level, because if I do like this, I'm gonna go back full screen with one of the applications. Let me just invoke it one more time. There are not a lot of options. Usually in One UI 8, when you click here, you have an option to rearrange all the windows. So this will just go here and this will go up. But hey, it is still a good start. And honestly, I kind of still like the way they did it, because it's very flawless and it doesn't really stutter. And we all know, Google is not using Snapdragon, so at least for these basic operations, I think it's still quite okay. But let me show you something else, guys. Again, this is going to be part of Android 16 QPR1 Beta 2. As I told you, with the normal Android 16, you're going to get icons here where you can invoke these things. And in QPR1 Beta 2, they are now layering additional bars on top. And I kind of like the way it looks, because it adds some dimension. You can see that it kind of looks 3D without being really like a liquid glass. And something that I kind of dig is the animation. See what happens when I just click it, right? It's gonna pop up, right? And it's just going to expand and kind of darken the whole application below that, which I think is a nice design decision. And this is gonna work almost like everywhere, okay? This is my mini game right now. It has a dark screen, so it cannot darken it. Okay, in the camera it's the same situation, right? But if I go to my wallet, you can see it kind of darkens the application beneath that, and it pops up in a very nice and cool way. So remember, guys, we are still in part number 1, and this is Android 16. And I promise in Android 16 QPR1 Beta 2, I'm going to show you some of the goodies. So something else that is new, guys. I'm going to go back inside my settings, and then I'm going to go inside the system. In the previous Android versions, they supported region information based on location and rather on a system-wide level. But now, guys, it's very detailed. So because I'm in Europe, sadly my country is not here, now I can choose Germany. And then I can also go and fine-tune, the temperature. So I can either use the default, or let's say I can use Celsius or Fahrenheit. So right now, if I press my Google Weather application, it's going to be in Celsius. But from here, I can still be in my German region and then decide to use Fahrenheit. And now when I reopen my Google Weather, I'm gonna get freaked out because, 86, yeah, it's only Fahrenheit, guys. Still too hot, right? But you see what Google are doing here. They're just giving us more customization settings, some things that they should have done, I guess, a long time ago. And it's really good that they finally are embracing this. So now they allow you to change your region, but then fine-tune things like temperature and the measurement system, which you can, again, use default, call for metric, US or UK. And in the previous Android versions, you were able still to do that, but it was a bit more tied into just like on a system level and based on locations, and it wasn't really so customizable like this thing here. Also, why not change the first day of the week? Now you can use any day, preferred of what you want to do here. And that's almost all with part 1, Android 16. And now I'm starting the part 2, where I'm going to show you some of the things that Google were able to sneak in. Because remember, the new expressive tree material design is not going to be here before September, but hey, they managed to sneak in some new things. And I'm going to directly start with them. So right now, guys, with the QPR1 Beta 2, when I go and I want to change my volume, right, and I click here, we're gonna see like the new redesigned user interface for all the bars. Not only the brightness bar, which you also have in Android 16, and I guess a lot of people are really digging this. Now with QPR1 Beta 2, we finally get a sneak preview on how this is going to look with the full expressive tree material design. So right now, guys, my media, my call and ring, all my bars are redesigned, and all my indication icons are now moved from the left to the right. But pay attention, guys, this is not all. If I want to just go to the maximum, boom, we're gonna see a slight shift. So the icon is gonna change the color a bit when it goes here, and it's gonna move around. And I really love that one, because I do believe that this is, again, attention to detail. And this, by the way, happens for all the icons. Now my notifications, see the icon is here, boom. Now I'm going to move it here, and it's going to change the color because the icon is now layered on top of the bar. This is going to work for all the bars. Okay, this is now the alarm. And by the way, the moment I'm doing this, I can feel the nice haptic. I used the Pixel 9 Pro XL when it was released for probably like a month, and then I had to sell it.
And every time I get my hands on a Pixel device, I'm just so astonished about the haptic. It's just so pronounced and so strong. And not that it's really strong, but so on point. I really love it. And by the way, this change here is to be also seen in other places. Let me start with the first one. So when I go inside the battery, we can see the battery bar now is bigger, right? And it doesn't only start there. If I go inside the storage, I can see that I have now again a bigger bar for my storage, and again a very sad reminder that I do only have 128 gigabytes. And by the way, there is a dot here at the end, guys. You can see, I'm even not sure why, right? But there is a dot, and I kind of like this. We don't really want to stop here, guys. When you go inside the settings and you go under the sound and vibration, we can also see that they've redesigned these bar elements here. So the UI is different. These bars are smaller, unlike the ones from the main menu. And when we move things around, we don't have a change of the indication icons. This is a rather big bar, but with these handles here, I think it's extra easy for you to just grab it and move it where you want these things to be moved. Also, when I scroll down beneath all the settings, we can see that there is a different grouping compared to what we have right now in the stable version of Android 16. So they just introduced a new grouping, and I do believe it is becoming more and more intuitive. On top of this, with this new user interface for the bars, I think that it's pretty sick. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Pay attention to my Google search bar. I can do a voice search, or let's say I can tap something and start searching. But guys, pay attention. We have now the Google logo here, right? And when I go inside and start searching, right, I'm gonna get the same Google logo here. And I do believe this only exists in Android 16 QPR1 Beta 2, and it's still a nice thing. And now it's time for my cat to crash my video. Thank you so much, Mr. Cat. So again, a small detail, but it's still there. And yeah, I honestly believe that it's not going to hurt for Google to just be a bit more colorful. Why not? Now guys, I want to show you some of the other new things in QPR1 Beta 2. If I hold my finger, right, you can see, by the way, very beautiful animation with the wallpaper and style. I really like how simple and efficient this thing is. It's not quick, it's not slow, it's just about right. I really love it. When I click inside, guys, on wallpaper and style, I'm now in my wallpaper and style, and the moment I scroll down to access the other settings, we can see this very nice zoom in and out effect, for the wallpapers. And guys, what happens when I click to more wallpapers? When I click here, I'm gonna get something called the Wallpaper Studio with some live effects. And I do believe this is quite trendy, because remember what a fruity company showed with, iOS 26, Apple, I'm looking at you. Yeah, they show some nice spatial wallpaper stuff, something that we Android users, well, let's say we've seen that for years. But now, guys, I can click here, right? And I have a photo to show you. So now you can load up your photo and you can play around. So we have these so-called effects. We have shapes, we have weather, and we have cinematic. So let me demonstrate the shapes. That's the first one, all right? And you can just go and change the color. And by the way, we have the very same bars as in the volume menu with the big handle, which is something that I like. Then we have this one here. And pay attention, guys, when I move around through the shapes, we're gonna get this nice and beautiful animation. So if that's your thing and you want to use some of your photos and somehow add shapes on them, things that we were able to do, in One UI and some of the other, of course, Chinese OSs or skins, but now it's also available in Android. And of course, you can change the color. And pay attention, guys, every time I change the color, all the system elements like the bar and this checkbox here, and then the bar UI down below will change so beautifully, right? And I do believe really that Google has a strong point with expressive tree material design, because remember, Apple is taking a new direction, which is kind of going back to the roots, like before the Johnny Ive times, where he was not really happy with skeuomorphism, so we kind of killed that one and they went for a flat design, much as like Windows Phone. And now years later, they're back with like liquid glass design inspired by nature. Yeah, maybe controversial. Google and Android are going into the total opposite direction. Very flat, very simple, very simplistic, yet colorful. And I kind of really prefer this to the other, but okay. iOS 26 It's just still dev release, so maybe in the future it's gonna get better. Now you can change the colors. Okay, you have like a certain limitation on the colors. And now let me show you the more cool stuff, because now we have weather, right? We have like local weather, which will align the weather on the wallpaper based on, yeah, you've seen it, like 30 Celsius here in Sofia. And then guys, we can do fog, all right? And now pay attention guys, the rain one. The rain one is good. And like all the other effects guys, you can decide how intense they are. Not the local one, because that's a real one, but on the fog one you can just go crazy. So this is, let's say, a little amount of fog. This is like a high amount of fog. The same with rain. And I really like the fact that the raindrops will fall on the object. So it's just not a very basic animation like an overlay of rain. It's gonna try to really match the real object and fall through on it, which is something that I like. And this is very good to be seen also with snow, because now when I put the snow, you can see it will snow on the hair of the boy and the snow will stay there. And it isn't perfect guys, and it's probably a gimmick, but I'm so happy to see that Google are becoming a bit more playful and a bit more colorful with Android 16 and with Pixel UI, right? Because remember guys, this thing here is not a plain stock like vanilla Android, right? It's still Pixel on top of this. And I'm happy to say again that Google finally are becoming more playful and giving us more things to play with. And guys, we have also sun, right? So of course you can do sun, more exposure, less exposure. But the best thing guys is at the end, and this is cinematic. So once you go there, your phone will tell you that it needs to download the model. And then guys, see what happens here. You can apply a 3D motion to this photo. In fact, what I'm gonna do right now, because I never did that, I'm gonna save this now as my wallpaper, right? And now I have the option to apply it on my home screen, but also on my lock screen. So I'm just gonna choose lock screen. And guys, see that one? This is really cool. The moment I hit lock screen, it's gonna give me like a real-time preview of what is gonna happen. I really dig that one. I'm gonna hit the apply button, all right? Fairly quick, by the way. And now here it is, guys. So this is now my Pixel 9 Pro XL, and I'm gonna go to my lock screen, okay, and I'm going to unlock my phone, and you can see we have this nice 3D motion effect. Again, I understand that this might be a gimmick thing, but hey, Google is becoming more playful, and at the end of the day, why not? We all want to have more features, more options, and it doesn't really mean for us to use them all the time, but in my opinion, it's always better to have more options compared to, yeah, less or even none. And now guys, last but not least, of course, the best stuff always at the end. I'm gonna show you now the new Android 16 QPR1 Beta 2 desktop experience, for which, by the way, you're gonna need a USB-C to HDMI adapter. So I got some questions in one of my videos. I'm using this, costs something like 10-12 euro, right? And it allows me to connect my phone via USB-C and then a monitor on the HDMI port. And I do also have a USB-C port here and also USB. And USB is kind of cool because if you want to use a mouse, right, what I can do, and I'm gonna do it by the way, I'm going to just put my wireless mouse receiver here, and I'm gonna use this mouse to navigate. And before you do so, you need to go inside the developer's options, because right now, if I just hook this up to my phone and then hook up my monitor here, I'm just going to mirror my screen. But if you want to get like the full Android 16 QPR1 Beta 2 experience, you need to go inside developer's options, all right? Scroll down to window management, and here there's going to be something called Enable Desktop Experience Features. Enable Desktop windowing on secondary displays. And this is really cool if you have like a Pixel tablet, and I'm gonna tell you why. But right now, guys, I've enabled this and I'm going to connect it to my monitor. Pay attention, guys. If you switch this option on, you need to restart your phone. Alright, guys, now let me connect it and let me show you the first attempt from Google to, yeah, have something like One UI DeX. And they even said that they worked with Samsung to bring this in Pixel. This is my big 32-inch monitor. This thing here is my Pixel 9 Pro XL. I'm going to hook up here the USB-C to HDMI adapter, guys. I have this HDMI cable that goes into my monitor, and the moment I hook it up, guys, all right, this is gonna happen. Nothing, because you can see here I am using that icon. If you did not enable the option from the developer's options, then here I would have only got an option to mirror my screen. I'm gonna take my remote and I'm gonna click on the inputs. And now I'm going to select HDMI 1, press OK. And for a moment, I'm getting boom! This is it, guys! And I know what you're thinking. Yes, it's pretty basic at the moment. Here in the top right corner, I do have the battery indication with the cell status. And here, guys, I have the launcher. So when I click here, I know. It looks a bit weird, right? But it also looks a bit like DeX. So what can you do from here, guys? So let's try to open an application. So I'm going to open Chrome, all right? So you can see I can open like a full scale browser on my big 32-inch screen. So I can for sure like try to resize it. Let's see if that works. Absolutely, right? And also what I can do, I can just hold it here and go to the very left, right? And put it there. And I can do the same and go and put it to the very right. Boom. And this is useful. Why? Because from here I can also go and open something else. So let's say this time I'm going to open device hardware information and I want to, let's say, align it. I can go here and yeah, now I'm going to get these two applications grouped. So I have my hardware device information together with the Google Chrome browser. And of course, you can do more, right? If you want, you can also try to open YouTube. And I tried and it actually works. So let's just try to open YouTube. Something that is just weird, by the way, is, the resolution is somehow kind of off. But hey, it is what it is. So YouTube videos, for sure, you can watch them, you can search, all right? And if you want, you can also just go here and try to layer this application on top of this. Then I have my phone, the standard dialer, I guess. And of course, you can also open the camera like for a reason. And by the way, yes, the camera is going to work, you can still see my inputs. So yeah, and by the way, I was able to close it the first time, not, but now I can. And this is it, guys. And down below on the right corner, we have some gestures. All right, so we can just go and go back to the recents menu from where you apparently can just go and kill everything. And we have something called desktop. And then we are back on the main screen. And I do understand that this is pretty basic. No, I'm not talking to Mr. Cat here, Zahra. I'm talking about the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But I do believe that this is a very good first try from Google to just bring more functionality inside Pixel devices. And have in mind, guys, that you can use also a touch screen and you can also use another screen. So this means that if you have a Pixel tablet, right, you can use the Pixel tablet as a secondary screen, which I think my cat loves, right? So guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I really try to show you all the new stuff inside Android 16, but also show you like the new stuff from the QPR1 Beta 2 build, because it has more things than the stable Android. And hopefully, guys, very soon in September, we're gonna get access to like the full-blown thing, which is gonna be the full expressive tree material design. And until that, I really hope that you and my cat, Mr. Cat, will like Android 16 as much as I do, and I really enjoy using this Pixel device. I only hope that they'll bring Snapdragon CPUs inside, because yeah, let's say Tensor isn't the best around. But okay, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please stay safe. VST over and bye.